Could this end up being one of the most improved plans in the whole country? Stay till the end and let me know what you think. Ann Arbor's new comprehensive plan is slated for approval by the Planning Commission this Wednesday night and City Council next month. And even if you're not from here, I hope this video can raise some questions and give you some ideas in your own community. My name is Kirk. I'm the Executive Director of Neighborhood Institute. We're a pro-homes, pro-safe transportation nonprofit here in Ann Arbor. I'm a former Planning Commission chair and former City Council member. First, a huge disclaimer. We stand on the shoulders of many of you, advocates, elected officials in cities and states across the country. Our work is nothing without you. Just to give an idea of the baseline that we're starting from, here's a handful of the things that we've done in Ann Arbor since the last comprehensive plan. Eliminating parking minimums citywide, not just downtown. Instituting parking maximums and placement restrictions throughout the city. Allowing ADUs citywide, significantly upzoning our commercial corridors with self-adjusting height limits away from residential. Restricting new strip malls and drive-thrus. Expanding home-based business flexibility. Eliminating FAR and irrational premiums in the downtown. And a whole lot more. We've grown a little bit since then, the vast majority being private student high-rise rentals. But our housing supply hasn't nearly caught up with the enrollment and staffing increases at the University of Michigan. We're largely an inbound commuter city. So back to the plan at hand. I think the single best thing about it is its radical simplification. This plan collapses all of the privately owned land use categories into basically 3 buckets. The tallest district, which is called Hub and is colored dark orange. Short, called Residential in beige. And a short to tall transition, colored orange. The map is a little busier than that because there are a handful of areas they couldn't decide whether to make short or transition. There's parkland, and there's also University of Michigan land and school district land that we can't control. The tall hub areas are allowing the highest heights, mostly in the current downtown and along large arterials. Most of these areas already have height limits between 150 and 300 feet. The short areas are named residential, which isn't terribly helpful because residential will be allowed in all the other zones, and commercial will be allowed in limited ways in residential, but I digress. These areas are currently mostly zoned single-unit detached. They've been the most contentious areas and got specifically called out in the plan for only 3 stories and 3 units by right, with the possibility of more. This is where the housing skeptical home voter base is largely located, and they basically got the height limits they wanted, but are still rather upset. And then there's these areas of transition, which has been mysteriously promised to start at 3 stories when it's right next to residential, but then ramp up to allow mid and high rises as you get further away from the short areas. Side note, I think there's a lot of benefit to a self-adjusting height zone because it removes a lot of discretion, which means removing a lot of time and fighting about where to put the lines on the map. All the city has to do is make a political decision about exactly how far away homeowners get to exert dominion over properties that they don't own, and then just let GIS draw the lines. It mirrors an existing zone that we have for our commercial corridors called TC1, which is very cool, and I encourage you to look it up. Of course, we know a plan isn't the same thing as zoning, and zoning gives property owners the right to do specific things with their land. But what this plan does, and I hope the zoning follows through, is give permission or even a challenge to policymakers to have as few as 2 zoning districts. A short one to kind of keep the homeowners happy, and then one that just gets taller and taller as you move away. Do we need to complicate it further than that? That's the question that we'll have during the zoning process. So in summary, I think this is a vastly improved plan, and all credit to my fellow advocates and citizen commissioners who made it happen. After approval by City Council, we're hoping that most of the non-controversial zonings can move ahead ASAP because we're in a housing emergency. This stuff is not rocket science. Almost all the City Council members have used phrases like housing emergency or housing crisis. So we hope that they'll act on this now, because housing delayed is housing denied. But enough about us. How's your city doing? Let me know in the comments.